Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jeremy. How are you?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening to you, Jeff. I am pretty good. How are you, Jeff?
That's great. That's great. Good to know you're doing great. Well, I'm fine. I'm doing great. I'm happy. We've been very busy, and we've had a lot of trainings last week. You and I
Yeah,
had training also. We delivered 2 days of training. You delivered 2 days of training. I was there for half a day, but it was all well and good. And all right, so Jeremy, the topic tonight is something very relevant for everyone, most
okay.
especially, yeah, most especially for those who are homeschooling or remotely schooling their children. So it's not just for teachers tonight. A lot of parents will benefit from this also. Okay.
Yes,
So
I believe
who's
so.
our guest for tonight? Yes, because our guest tonight is well, we have someone from Australia, from down under, and well, she has been there for I think six. I'm not sure. We'll just ask her later. All right.
Okay.
So let's bring
All right.
in our guest tonight, who will talk about play. All right. Uh, as
So
a mode of learning,
what's
something
our
like
topic?
that. Yeah,
What's
it
our
has something
topic
to
for
do
tonight?
with play. Yeah, it has something
Play.
to do with
Okay.
play. Yes. All
All
right.
right.
So let's bring in our guest tonight, Bettina. Good evening,
Hi,
Bettina.
hi there.
Hi. How
Hello.
are you?
Hi. I'm good, thank
So,
you. A little bit cold, but very good. Cannot
oh, great,
complain.
great. Nice to know you're doing great. And well, you are in Australia, right?
hmm
Uh huh. How long have you been there?
So I've been here since 2015,
Okay,
about five
five
years.
years.
Just 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. 5 years. That's a long time.
Wow.
So,
And
so yeah, but what time is it there now?
It's 11:08, almost
11.
midnight. Yeah,
Oh,
but then the good thing about this project I have with the Philippines is that I'm running on two time zones, the Australian time and the Filipino time. So I kind of like it because
oh,
I can still say, "Oh, I'm running on Filipino time," and I'm 2 hours behind. So I have every excuse to be late because I'm running on Filipino time.
okay.
that's great.
Yeah,
Okay,
plus, you
so
are from the future. You
yes,
are
Pardon?
from the future.
you're from the future. You're ahead there.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
I'm
wait,
running
but
behind as well.
yes. So Bettina, well, the topic tonight is play and STEM education as emergent ways of learning for all children. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, questions, and I just want to clarify. When you say all children, what are their ages?
Well, I think a child is below 18.
Below eight? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Even at
below
that age.
18. So I'm really pushing for play and hands-on education for all children because I
Oh,
don't think anyone should stop playing, like
oh,
even
okay.
us as adults. Yeah.
Sige, give us a bit of a background muna about yourself. Maybe what you were doing here in the Philippines and what you're doing there now in Australia.
Sure. Okay, so I'm originally from Cebu, and I went to school in Cebu and everything. And shortly after I finished high school, I went to Manila, did my alma mater there, and then after that, I decided to just travel. And when I was in Manila, I didn't really know what I wanted to be, and that I was kind of it starts with the philosophy. So I was kind of lost in that sense where I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I didn't really know what my life was going to be like, and but all I knew was I was really interested in literature. I was interested in the humanities and everything, and that was a course where I felt home. So I took my bachelor's in humanities. I didn't really know that I would be a teacher or anything. So I just started to travel right after that. And I traveled by earning my own money. So I wasn't really spoon fed and everything. So I had to hustle, and it was through that hustling and everything that I had to travel in a budget. And I always traveled in the sense where, okay, if I'm going to travel, I've got to earn. So I've got to
Right.
work to travel. Or if I so I decide so I went to America. I worked in America for a few months until I earned enough money. Then I went to Spain, and it was in Spain when I wanted to do a course because I felt like I needed some purpose. I couldn't just travel and be a tourist. So I did an English teaching course in Spain. And when I was in Spain, that's when I realized that love for teaching. I finished a class, I finished teaching a business class, and I earned 50 euros. It was my very first paycheck. I earned 50 euros in 1 hour. And I felt so good. And I felt really empowered. And I felt like I felt like I was meant to do what I was doing. So after traveling in Spain, I went to South Africa. I continued my studies there, and then when I was in South Africa, I was volunteering for this program called the Book Bus Project in Zambia, and we had a bus filled with books, filled with art materials, and we went to different communities and we read to them and we did arts and crafts with them and everything, and it was so beautiful. It was such, they didn't know English, I didn't know African, I didn't know how to speak their language and everything, but we were still able to communicate through books, through art and everything. And that's when I felt like education, it's so beautiful. This is what I'm meant to do. And when I was in Africa, I remember I was teaching some workshop on hula hoops, and I realized, like, I'm teaching all these kids in Africa, but I should be at home. I should be teaching the kids at home because the kids at home are the ones that need this the most. So after South Africa, I decided to just go home because I wanted to start something there. And I got to Cebu and I realized, okay, Cebu's so congested. Cebu, Cebu isn't the place where I want to be. I want to start something in a place where I feel like there's the beach, there's nature, because I think that's what I want. That's my utopian idea of what a school should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I rode a Roro, bought the cheapest ticket, 200 pesos, well, and traveled in the tourist class of that big boat, went to Bohol, and I found myself in Panglao, and I didn't have anything, but then like there's some really good people out there, and this resort owner, I told him what my project was and everything, and he was like, you know what, use my resort, use this as your classroom. So that was my first classroom, beachfront in Panglao, in Bohol, a really nice gazebo and everything. And and that's how it all started. So because I was right by the beach and I had this really nice outdoor classroom and everything, I had no idea what forest school was. I had no idea what nature pedagogy was, nothing. But I just knew, like, I just had this feeling. And then when I was there, like the beach, I had the beach there. So the beach was like our classroom. So my
Yeah.
kids and everything, I had two kinds of kids. I had some children who would be paying, and I had, because their parents were foreigners, and I also had kids who were sponsored. So I would go to the resort owners and I'd be like, "Oh, you have CSR, or
Ah,
do you know how important it is to have CSR in your company? Because that's the UANP in me and everything." So they all were so game with that. They were so game with, you know, corporate social responsibility and being part of the community and everything. So I was able to get resorts on board. I was able to get other people on board, and it was just beautiful with the way we grew, because even though there's business people, even though they're expats, even though we had really corrupt politicians, we still got together and we still saw eye to eye when it came to education. and when
Education.
it came to this progressiveness, yeah. So it kind of grew from there, and then that gazebo became like a little bit more defined center and everything, and I was able to invest in more things. But then after a few years, I had to actually go pack up my bags because I was starting a family, and it was really growing. It was super growing. We already had a football team. We had UNICEF come in,
Oh,
and UNICEF like brought in 3 volunteers, and we trained the daycare centers. We had resources, and we had people just training me as well on early childhood. And then that's when I started to also find my philosophy when I was there, because I nature is a really big part of me. My dad's a scuba diver, and the ocean is really a big part of me. So
nice.
when I would see people throw trash in the ocean and everything, or the boatmen throw trash, I'd really literally go up to them and tell them like, "Oh, what you're doing isn't right," and everything. And I realized that it wasn't real. I couldn't really educate the elders as much as I could educate the kids. The
Right,
kids were
right,
so
right.
much easier to educate. And then that's when I found that if I wanted to make a difference in environmental education, I needed to go to the grassroots, to the
Yeah,
early years. And so
early
that's how
years.
early childhood found me. And when I started to get trained in early childhood education, I realized that there's so much that we could do, but we weren't doing. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, this whole structure of teaching wasn't really working with the
Mm-hmm.
way kids were responding. So that's when play came about. And then, so I was so fortunate enough to get really good mentors that UNICEF sent. UNICEF, yeah, UNICEF, an Australian business mentorship
Ah,
program,
okay.
sent to me. Yeah. And so I had like really great mentors, and they were the ones who kind of embedded that whole early childhood and everything. And so that was the birth of the
Oh,
early childhood education program in
oh.
Bohol. And then when I had to leave, well, people still continued it. Like, I've had some two mothers. One mom took over the football, one mom took over the school and everything, and it's still growing, and it's still there. But then now that I'm here in Australia, I got my diploma for early childhood, and I switched over my credentials. So now I'm a registered teacher here and everything. And I also started to learn so much more about the early childhood program and all about the theories and everything. But what what I feel is still missing, and what I feel
Mm-hmm.
the gap is still in, is the
Yes.
environmental sustainability.
Ah,
Because
okay. In
for me,
education.
I'm going through that. Yeah, that's why STEM is such a big part of me, because I'm going through this whole philosophy where we're advocating play, we're advocating playing our children, but then what good is it if our kids will not be able to have a proper playground because it's so messed up with the waste
Mm-hmm.
and with
Yes.
whatever's going on in our environment. And so that's
Or
it's
there's
super
no more
unspoken.
space. Or there's no more
Exactly.
space because everything is already constructed as buildings.
Yeah, and everything's contaminated. Like the
Yes.
sewage is so contaminated. So that was, yeah. So that's why I've got this extension from early childhood. I have got that extension to STEM,
Okay.
STEM based and
STEM
science. Yeah.
based. Okay,
All right.
so
Uh,
now it's now I think Jeremy and I are seeing the connection between play, STEM, and your not history, but your past as a wanderer, as someone who
yeah,
you
Exactly.
know, as someone who
somewhat.
went
Yeah.
around the world to teach, to educate young children. So you're bringing that philosophy here, right? I mean, into your curriculum. That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeremy, you were about to say something. I'm sorry, I cut you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Speaking of the curriculum, so before we go into the curriculum, Jeff, I just want to ask. She always mentions playing, right? And when you incorporate play into early childhood education, why is it more effective compared to other methods?
Well, I think the best way I can answer that is to start with the brain. So the human brain, when we are born, we our brains born like kind of like a blank canvas, and as we grow older, that blank canvas gets more experiences that get stored into our brain as core memories, which we will use for which we will use in order to deduce and get more information. So that's concrete learning. And all these experiences, all these core memories, or all these core experiences are experiences, and experiences come from play, from doing something. And the thing is, what
Okay.
the research is there, everything is there, the research is there. But the first 5 years of the child are the most fundamental years. This is when that brain is growing so rapidly. From ages 0 to 3, the child's brain grows 75%. By the time the child is 5 years old, that brain is like 90%. So
Wow.
90% of the core memories are in there. And so
Right.
and so those memories or those experiences are all hands-on. And how do you do hands-on experiences? Hands-on experience are like they come from play in kids. According to Maria Montessori, play is the work of the child because that's how they experience things.
Yes.
So, in essence, like this is why play is really, really important in every child's life because it's that opportunity for them to be able to receive more memories, more experiences into their brain, which they can use as concrete learning in their future.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Wow.
Yeah.
So, because of play, because of this knowledge that you have in terms of molding the brain, you were able to come up with a curriculum. Is that it?
Yeah. So when I was well, that was the idea. Like a curriculum is something that should be living, something that continues to be worked on. It's not something that's set in stone, contrary to what many think that a curriculum is like this piece of document where we need to follow word for word. It's not. It's something that is like a jump off point that's got like the main and the core ideas. And when I was in the Philippines, I really couldn't find as much information on early childhood and development. Like the theories were all there, but then the practice wasn't. I didn't really find that. And I really found that the one early childhood education was present, but it was only for the elite. It wasn't for the public. And that was my dream. My dream was to be able to come up with this document or come up with something that was very local for the Filipino child. So, in that sense, I had these theories that were, yes, Western, yes, progressive, but then the application, the practice needed to be local. I needed to use I needed to use this so that I could be able to train the other daycare workers with what we had. And so I really had that in mind. This whole local feel of using natural objects, of using what's there, of making resources and everything. So that was the core, and that's I think what sets the curriculum apart from other things because here I really try to keep the Filipino child in mind. I really tried to keep this whole idea that, not everyone in the Philippines has got all the resources. So how can we teach children to play despite the lack of resources?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's
So
that's how it came out.
Y- Okay, thank you. So, can you, Bettina, can you give us a, clearer picture of how things happen when someone uses that curriculum? And later on, I'll be asking you how they can access that curriculum.
Sure. Well, the curriculum, it comes with, I think it's broken up into four different parts. Like there's one on cognitive development, there's one on creative thinking, there's one on science and STEM and creative arts. And we have the theory. So it was me and Bethany. Bethany was a volunteer from Australia. She was a teacher from Australia who came, and she came to the Philippines for 9 months to help me like conclude the school and everything, and to be able to deliver this to the rest of the community. Because I really did feel like I really did feel like I wasn't reaching enough children to get I wasn't reaching enough children for play. So we have the theory, and then beside every theory are activities that you could do,
Yeah.
and these activities are all activities that you can do that still hit home with the theory, but then you can make the resources. Like for example, we
Yeah.
talk a lot about role play, and then when we discuss role play, we discuss like the elements of why role play is so important, but at the same time we give ideas on how you can make your own role play costumes and whatnot.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
So
not
this.
just role playing, but also from start, right? Coming up with a script maybe, or the costumes that you're gonna be wearing, all the way to the play itself.
Yeah, so we discussed role play as something that needs to be free, something that needs to be spontaneous, because that's the definition of play. Play needs to be child led, it needs to be free, it needs to be spontaneous. And so, the idea is that you provoke it. That's our role as educators. We're just provokers. We provoke
Okay.
play by giving them these like visuals or these things that they could use to instigate their ideas of what they should be doing.
I
Okay.
really like
So
that word, Bettina, provokers. Yeah. So I'm gonna be
yeah. Yeah,
provoking
tama,
my
no? Because
students.
I wanted to get that definition again
Uh,
of play. I wanted to be clear to me and to everyone what Bettina means by play. So
mhm.
she mentioned something about child-led.
Yeah.
Can you say that again, Bettina? So that more or less we
Okay.
have a clear idea of what play should be. But so that we understand, maybe, so we have a clearer picture. Sometimes when we think of play, we think of just do things. Should play have a purpose? Should play have an end goal? Or should play just be for fun?
Just play. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, so
Well,
what?
play really is really the reason why it's fun is because it's meaningful to the child.
Yeah.
Now, play needs to have play. When you talk about play, you don't talk about the product. You don't talk about the end goal. That's not what it is, because in early childhood you're building the foundation. You're not building the house for them. You're building their foundations. You're building those skills.
Hmm.
So it needs to be spontaneous. It needs to be child led. That means that children are the ones who decide what they want to play. It needs to be free. So it's not us telling them, okay, do this, and that's considered play, or segregate the bottle caps, and that's considered play. It shouldn't be like that. It should be something free, something that they could explore, something that they could touch, something they can construct and deconstruct, and something that is spontaneous to them.
Hmm. All
Wow,
right. Okay. Good.
Yeah,
very
Good.
powerful.
Oh,
Play
very
is
powerful.
very powerful, Jeff.
it's
Yeah.
so
So that
powerful.
so it doesn't have to have a purpose. So it doesn't need to. So when they're already there, when they are playing the, it already serves its purpose, meaning it already stimulates their mind. It's already
Exact.
building their foundation. It doesn't have to be a purpose that when putting together, let's say for example, Legos, doesn't have to look like a car. As long
No.
as, right? So as
Yeah.
long as you spend your time playing, using your imagination, that's it. That's play, right?
It's the process.
It's the
So
process. Okay.
we don't look at the product. It's process over product.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's great. That's great. And these are for children until the age of 18.
Exactly. I mean, as
Okay.
Pablo Picasso said, every child is an artist. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is staying an artist.
Yeah.
So I mean, it shouldn't even be. Yeah, there's still so much more. Like play in the early years is so important. It's the only thing young children should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then for children, for people, especially now with mental health is a very big issue, especially with this pandemic. So this is where that therapy comes in, especially for the older ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Um, we have some comments here. I'll read them before I go to my questions. Adi said, I agree, early ed is very much overlooked in most parts of the world.
Mhm. Hi, Addy.
Max, yeah, Max Journey said, play is the work of the child. Remove the play, then life becomes miserable.
Uh-huh.
Yem said, substantial topic. Thank you, Yem.
Thank you. Yep.
Play is learning in itself. Children
Mhm.
explore their own little world through play. Yes, yeah, and they get. I think they get to know about themselves through play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, Jeff,
Uh,
process, right? Right, Bettina? The process
exactly.
itself reveals who they are, how they solve problems, or how they
mhm,
create, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 So
And
it's
then you
learning. They're learning something about how they do things.
yeah.
Uh, Here's from Addy. Play based learning is essential to early ed. The brain is programmed to remember what makes us feel good. Yeah. For a child,
Mhm.
it may mean toppling down a Lego structure or to put it back again. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What about you? What
So
about Bettina? When you were younger, what made you happy when you were playing?
but for me, the my happiest and most cherished memories were really in the beach. They're
Wow.
really jumping off the boat and everything. Because my dad's a scuba instructor, and so I grew up with him, with taking trips with him on the boat and everything. And so I've got that. That's my core memory. And
That's
another thing I loved about being a kid is when my dad would take me off to his dive safaris. We would always go to like this little towns, these little communities, and I would play with the children there. And the children were always so happy and they're always so smiling. And so this is also my passion for the Filipino soul. I feel like right now we need some soul uplifting. And I'm really amazed by the way Filipinos are really great innovators, how we can make something out of an old broken tire and everything. So for me, like I saw that when I was a kid, I saw so much innovation, so much and I was able to immerse myself with these children or with these little communities as a child. And I think that kind of formed a lot of my philosophy and my advocacy to try to bridge that gap until now. Like I'm here all the way in Australia, but for me, it's like this is what I can't wake up and not do this. I've got to do this kind of thing.
All right. I like how you mentioned
right.
that your
So,
philosophy becomes an advocacy. What about you, Jeff?
oh, what's your question? My
Uh,
advocacy or
Your
Memory of
philosophy
play.
and memory of play. Memory of
Oh,
Yeah,
memory of play. Uh, well, well, playing with my toys, I guess. Playing
okay.
with video games. Playing with my cousin.
Mm,
So, so there. Those are my memories of play. And of course, those are always fun memories.
yeah.
exactly. What about
So,
you?
so yeah. Oh yeah,
Huh?
you, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Me?
you.
Well, same as you. I also love the beach. I've always been a water baby. I'm into a lot of water sports. I also go scuba diving when it was still, when we can still go out. But yeah, again, it was so fun for me. Spending a lot of those sunrises and in the beach. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah, so anyway, Bettina, going to your curriculum, uh, how can people get that curriculum? I know you have a group. You mentioned something about you have a group. It's called Early Educators Philippines. Is that it?
Early
Was
Childhood Education Philippines.
Wow.
so
Okay.
it's a group, and who can join that group?
Basically, anyone with a child in the early years can join the group. And
Okay.
people, yeah, so it's kind of the way I've been giving out the curriculum is I've been giving people just message me, and then I send out a mass email probably once a week. So sometimes I'll get 100 emails, sometimes I'll get like 700. It just depends. So and then they message, and then I try to send out a mass email once a week, and then just give it out. So you can
Oh,
join the group if you do want to get a curriculum, and then you just send that PM with your email address, and then and then I send it off with my system.
okay.
Okay. Do we
So
have a
the
link,
curriculum.
Gina? Oh, yeah. You
Yeah.
have a
What do
link?
they search?
Yeah.
Oh, early, yeah, I can send you the link. Should I put the link? I can. Early Childhood Education Philippines.
So I'll type it here. So that's
Yeah,
a
on
Facebook
Facebook.
group, right?
Yeah,
Early
Early Childhood
Childhood
Education Philippines.
Childhood Education Philippines. So all they need to do is visit this page,
Yeah,
right? Wait,
just
let
visit the
me
group. And
just visit
once
the
they
group.
get to the group, there's going to be a lot of information they could already use.
All right. So okay. So they can ask the curriculum from you, right?
Yeah.
And so what age? Is there a specific age group? The curriculum, is
Yeah,
it only
so
for
this
like
one is specifically from 0 to 5.
0 to 5? All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll send them a curriculum. Are there different topics from different age levels, or 0 to 5 are all the same?
0 to 5 is all the same because what we do is we adapt the zone of proximal development, which was a theory developed by Lev Vygotsky, and the idea is that we as educators, our role is to scaffold
Mm-hmm.
children's learning. So as I said, the curriculum isn't something that gives you these activities to do like word for word and everything, but then the idea is for you to understand the theory, um, see what you can do with what little resources you have from the activities that we or the examples that we share in that curriculum, and then you scaffold as an educator. So the older the child is, who's got more sophisticated skills and everything, they can develop role play in a very different way. Because, like, for example, role play is just imagining you're a superhero, imagining you're a car or something. But then what comes out of role play is the problem solving skills because they're imagining. So they're reimagining this climax, they're imagining this problem. and it comes the language, the use of language. So
Hmm.
that's
I
where it
see.
comes out, and using language in conjunction with critical thinking. So that,
Nice.
and creativity, yeah. So that's something we don't really, we've never really, our education system doesn't really get us to be creative.
So this curriculum is meant for those who want to homeschool their kids. Is that correct?
Yeah, or those who not just homeschool, but those who want to understand play,
Ah,
and
okay.
those who think that who think that their children need to play and they just don't know the theory and everything.
I see.
So when I wrote it, I had a forward that this, like, the vision, it's so weird because I wrote this like 6 years ago, and when we wrote it, it was just like a Word document. It wasn't anything. And I really wanted this to, I had this vision where I was like, you know what, one day I really want to be able to share this with like as many people, as many moms. So if I were to ever write this, I want this to look good. I want it to be easy enough to read, and I want it to be practical, that a mom could just read it, understand it very easily, and do it the next day.
No, okay.
So it's so weird how I had this vision, but then after I wrote it, after we wrote it, we did training. We trained 13 daycares in Bohol, and we used that curriculum, and then we did toy production and everything with them. And after that, like, I had to move to Australia, so like I just packed it up in my bag. I never really saw it, I never thought about it until the pandemic hit.
I
And
see.
yeah, so that's when it came out again, and I was like, wow, it's so weird, the vision is still there.
All
Okay.
right. So we have a question here from Adi. Do you have any book suggestions to supplement the curriculum? Children's book suggestions.
Children's books or theoretical books, education books?
I guess
Children's
those
book
are like
suggestion.
not theoretical, but books
Okay.
for children. Yeah. Any suggestions?
Yeah, it really depends, Addy, on, it depends on the age.
Let's just
So,
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, the age really, it really depends on the age. For example, with babies, you want to pick books with just big giant pictures. The bigger the better. And with toddlers, jumbo books are also good, but short text, like one sentence texts. And then for the older ones, you want to pick books that have that deep meaning or have some sort of rhyme or some sort of limerick, so it catches that attention. So it really depends on the age of the child, and it also depends, yeah, it depends also of the cultural background. So it just depends. I have a whole list. I actually have an ebook just on literacy because there's
Oh,
Oh,
just so much to talk about.
can we
all right.
download the ebook?
Yeah, the ebook is downloadable, but it's also it's part of this course that I'm doing for parents. It's more of like a professional development course on play and how you can adapt a play-based program at home.
Okay.
And
So
yeah, it's
yeah.
a paid course. And the reason why it's paid is because the idea is that I earn enough money to send the resources back home. Because here in Australia, we're very throwaway. We are a throwaway society here. So we've got so much pre loved books, pre loved toys, pre loved resources that's just going to landfill every day because they're looking for people to give it to. So the idea is for me to get those and send them off back to the Philippines, to the vulnerable communities, because that's what I want to do. I really want to fill in that gap of the children who are missing out on play, the children whose voices are not heard, the children who are undergoing such traumatic stress right now because of their situations, being
Uh-huh.
marginalized by poverty.
Great. I'm about to go and ask you about that training for parents, Bettina. So, maybe you can give us some few pointers on how parents can successfully uh, adapt that way of learning for their kids.
I would probably start with a tool. It's This is a theoretical tool. It's a mind tool, so it's something you don't need to buy or anything. But this tool is called the multiple intelligence theory. This
Mm-hmm.
theory was developed by Howard Gardner in the 1980s,
Mm-hmm.
and the theory came out as like this this as a question with the IQ system. Do you know remember how like we're always like judged by how high our IQ is and everything? So Howard Gardner questioned that. He questioned that whole IQ thing. He was like, wait a minute, why is a person only good if he's got a high IQ? Isn't there more to a person than just a high IQ? So he developed this theory where he states that every person can be intelligent in like some in 9 different ways. There's a logical way, there's the literacy
Kinesthetic.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would start with understanding that theory, and I would mix that tool with understanding that theory with also understanding the way the child's brain develops, because you need to understand that the child's brain is developing very rapidly in the first 5 years, and when they're doing things, they're called experiences, and that's being stored into their core memory.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you expose them to different kinds of experiences, the more kinds of core memories they have. And you mix that with your MI theory, and you try to make sure that you're hitting all parts of the intelligences of the MI theory with the child's brain and the core memories, and then put them
I see.
together.
All right, we have another
Wow.
question from Adi.
Adi.
How to enroll in the professional development course? The one for parents, I think the one you mentioned, or
Yeah.
is it an ebook?
It comes with 4 ebooks.
Okay,
So you get
so
4 ebooks. Yeah, you get 4 ebooks, and you we have a presentation every week and everything. So you can enroll by messaging me, and
how do they
then
get in touch with you? Just through the early education?
you go to Early Childhood Education Philippines, and you will find me there.
Ah, all right.
All
All
right.
right. So,
Thanks.
yeah. So, any more questions from our viewers? Jeremy, how about you? Um,
Uh, Now I'm just looking at the comment list. Did we miss out on anything?
just like to say hi to our loyal viewers out there. Just want to say good evening to Edward, Darwin, Jen, of course, one of our constant and loyal viewers, Emily, Beth, Reynaldo, Arlene. These are our Rowani. And of course, Adi from Boston. Always. Hi, Adi.
Hello.
Hope everything's doing great there. And MI plus appropriate parenting style equals child success. Yes, I totally agree. Multiple intelligence. Plus, I think a big challenge, really, Jeremy. For me, I'm speaking for myself.
Mhm.
As a parent, I guess, is that we are in a different generation. We were brought up in a generation where MI was still being studied.
Exactly.
Uh, we were developed in a different way, and we carry that discipline. We carry that core value in us, and the biggest challenge is the paradigm shift,
Yep.
and right. So
Yeah, I
as
agree. It
parents, di ba? Here, we have our
favorite.
favorite. Yes, Doan. Hi, Don. Any questions from you?
Yeah.
Uh, Okay,
So
so
imagine this, Jeff. When we were brought up, it was not multiple intelligence. It was
there's
just
only one
intelligence.
intelligence.
Yeah,
Yes. You either you are either an honor student or not an honor student.
I grew up in that
exactly.
also. I
There.
really grew up in that. I remember I had this literature class when I was a freshman in college, and th- our teacher our professor made us memorize Greek mythology,
Mm,
Wow.
and I was like, what? Why am I memorizing? I am not appreciating this. And so like I kind of grew up with that also.
Ako naman, I love literature because that's the only time you can make bola
Exactly. That's why I wanted to
with
make
your
bola. I didn't
interpretation.
want to memorize.
Yeah, with the interpretation. Yeah, but uh, but anyway, well, my takeaway today really is all about play. Um, what's nice about our topic tonight is I'll be teaching in Maria Montessori again this August on entrepreneurship, and as always, what I do, they're always hands-on. So it's really a challenge for me right now how to make it hands-on. So I don't know. We'll see. And we have another one from Adi. Hello, Jeff and Jeremy. Thank you for this topic, Bettina. We'll explore your FB page soon.
Hello,
And
Adi.
from Doan, interesting and relevant topic. Thank you. And more power to us all. Yes, Doan,
Yeah.
likewise. All right. So, yeah. So that's just about it. And how about your takeaway, Jeremy?
Well, same with
Well,
you, Jeff. I'll also be teaching in the senior high level for the, I don't know, it's going to be my second time, I guess.
wow.
And I'm also going to be continuing on with teaching the undergrad, also in entrepreneurship. And I guess, yeah, that's where the concepts and the topic that we have talked about would go into, meaning play, right? So I
Exactly.
think we have to
Yeah.
design the curriculum, design the course to make it more hands-on, make it more interesting, and also focus on the process and not just the outcome this time, but rather the process of learning. So
Yeah.
thank you,
Mm.
Tina, for
Thank
sharing
you.
with us.
Yeah, can I just add something about what you said about entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Go
Because
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, that really hit home to me because since I started coming to Australia and everything, and after I had to close my business, that's when I realized the concept of financial sustainability and what entrepreneurship really is. And so I'm still in this journey of finding my feet as an entrepreneur. And I really feel that the entrepreneur feet is or the entrepreneur lifestyle is so different to the standard education lifestyle. So
How so?
yeah, well, I guess it's kind of like what Robert Kiyosaki said about how like we schools tell us to go to school, get good grades, get a job, and that's totally not what entrepreneurs are all about, right? So that's that there goes the whole early childhood where it's all process based, it's all play based and everything, and entrepreneurship, I think they really are married. They go hand in hand. In fact, that's a really big thing in my program for numeracy. I
Mm-hmm.
really talk about financial literacy there.
Wow. Okay.
Wow,
Yeah.
great.
So
So maybe yeah, maybe I'll explore using play on how to teach senior high school students entrepreneurship. You better
exactly.
help me
You
there,
make them be
Jeremy.
their own.
Yeah.
Make
Maybe
them
we
make
can
Yeah.
their own.
change notes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
because that's what they say. An entrepreneur. I think for me, the entrepreneurship. The first thing is innovation and creation.
Hmm.
Right. I
Yep.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So that's
definitely
how they
agree.
do it. They innovate.
Yeah.
Project based approach. There you go.
Right.
Eh,
There. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, the project based is really totally a nice way to make sure they learn something. Well, I guess it's just me being the teacher who's what do you call this? Who's used to doing uh, project based all the time. Baka ako yung nagsasawa. Baka hindi sila. Uh, but it has been very effective. Yeah, so great. I'm also exploring that rhythm of learning theory. Maybe one of these days that will be one of our topics here, Jeremy. I
Yeah.
was doing my research the other day, I came across this what they call rhythm of learning, that students learn when they fall in love with the subject,
Yeah,
when they
lifelong
create
learning.
yeah when they create precision, and precision meaning uh, they do something, they do projects with it, and then generalization, they create general theories about the subject matter. I don't know much about it. I'm still trying to explore it, looking for people we can bring here also in class time for that.
Yep.
So anyway, Bettina, thank you very much.
Thank
It was a
you.
wonderful night interviewing you. More power
Thank
to
you.
early education Philippines, right?
Yeah,
Childhood
early childhood
education
education, Philippines.
Philippines. All right. So do visit that. You can get in touch with Bettina there. You can ask for her curriculum for free for the parents. Tama, it's for free, right? The curriculum.
It's for free.
So
It's all yeah, it's free.
so for the
And so
parents
much stuff
watching,
there.
yeah, for the
Oh,
parents watching right now, visit that. Well, I'm sure you'll get a lot of information there. All right. So with that, Bettina, thank you very much. Have a wonderful
Thank
night there. It's
you. Have a
almost
good evening.
12 midnight there. Thank you
Yeah.
very
oh yeah.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. It's
Bye.
been a pleasure. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So Jeremy,
Yeah, Jeff.
I guess it's time again. Time for me to
Uh-huh.
play. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Let's
maglalaro.
play. All right. Let's
Yeah,
play and talk about the process.
I'm
Right.
about to play after we end the
About to,
program. Huh?
uh, yeah. Maybe let's play. All right.
All right. So have a good evening.
All right.
All right. Good night, everyone. Bye bye.